There's a quiet shift happening across America, and you can feel it most on the smaller roads, the ones that peel away from the 8-lane highways and lead into places that never felt the need to rush. While the big cities grow louder, more expensive, and somehow more tiring each year, there are towns where mornings still begin softly, where someone on a porch might look up from their coffee and nod hello, where the price of simply being alive doesn't feel like a monthly negotiation. And if you spend even a moment talking with the people who've chosen these places, the retired teacher easing into her morning walk, the remote worker who traded traffic for mountain air, the family that moved not for prestige but for breathing room, you'll hear a gentle, almost protective sentiment. These towns are special, and we kind of hope nobody else notices. That's the journey we're taking today. 10 small U.S. cities that residents quietly treasure, places where median home prices remain within reach, rents don't demand sacrifice, and life settles into a steadier rhythm. Some sit in landscapes that look lifted from a painting. Others draw you in through history, or kindness, or the simple comfort of feeling unhurried. All of them offer that rare trio: affordability, stability, and a sense of soul. We'll look at real numbers, real textures of daily life, and the subtler qualities that make a place feel like it fits. Nothing exaggerated, nothing to spoil the magic. And stay with me for number 1, a town where time seems to soften, and every corner feels gently handcrafted. Settle in, and if peaceful living speaks to you, subscribing truly helps this channel grow. At number 10, we arrive in Decorah, where small-town charm meets a landscape that feels almost Scandinavian in its calm. This is a tucked-away river town with a softness to it, the kind of place where the day seems to begin a few minutes earlier than the rest of the world, and with far less hurry. Decorah rests along the limestone bluffs of northeastern Iowa, held gently between river bends and rolling hills. Life here feels grounded, steady, almost hand-woven. Median home prices tend to sit around the low to mid-200s, Zillow 2026 est, and rents for a simple 1 or 2 bedroom often fall near the $900 to $2,200 range. It's the sort of affordability that gives people room to breathe, rather than forcing every decision through a financial lens. Overall cost of living regularly comes in below the U.S. average, and that's part of why so many people, retirees, hikers, remote workers, drift toward Decorah when they want slowness without the feeling of being cut off. For a small city, the essentials are surprisingly strong. A thriving local co-op anchors the food scene. Trails wind through forests, bluffs, and quiet riverbanks. Healthcare access is steady and reliable, giving retirees and older adults real peace of mind. The community leans into festivals, food traditions, and heritage with an easy warmth. And there's a sense that the town's identity is cared for rather than curated. Of course, Decorah has its realities. The job market can be narrow if you work in highly specialized fields, and winters linger a bit longer than some might prefer, the kind of cold that encourages early nights and slower weekends. But picture a quiet Tuesday morning where church bells echo across the river as cyclists glide past limestone cliffs. In Decorah, moments like that aren't rare. They're simply part of the rhythm. At number 9, we arrive in Oxford, where college town energy meets Old South gentleness. This is a literary enclave wrapped in soft pine air, a place where cafes hum quietly through the afternoon and the town square still feels like the opening page of a well-loved novel. Oxford blends cultural richness with an easy, walkable calm. It offers the conveniences of a small city while keeping its cost of living within reach for many. Median home prices generally sit in the mid-300s, Zillow 2026 est, though rentals show a gentler side. 1 and 2 bedroom units often land around the $1,050 to $2,300 range, especially once you step away from the university corridor. For retirees, that balance, approachable rent with access to arts, healthcare, and everyday necessities, is part of the appeal. Healthcare access is strong for a town its size, anchored by a respected regional medical center. Add in the local bookshops, the restaurants tucked into old brick buildings, the music drifting out of doorways on warm weekends, and you start to understand why remote workers and families gravitate here. Oxford offers stimulation without noise, charm without pretense, and community without pressure. There are trade-offs, of course. Football weekends swell the population and add a temporary buzz. And like many university towns, the rhythm of Oxford shifts with the seasons, housing demand, foot traffic, even the pace of mornings. But then comes a moment that explains why people stay. Imagine strolling past a century-old bookstore as warm light spills across red brick sidewalks at dusk. In Oxford, that's not a postcard image. It's simply how the evening settles in. At number 8, we arrive in Helena, where mountain horizons stretch wider than the pulse of daily life. For a state capital, it carries an unexpected stillness, more like a quiet western outpost than a bustling administrative hub. The kind of place where the sky feels like part of the architecture, and the mountains seem to lean in just enough to steady the day. Helena offers a gentler alternative to Montana's more crowded scenic destinations. While places like Bozeman and Missoula buzz with rapid growth, Helena moves at a calmer pace. Median home prices tend to sit near the low to mid 400s, Zillow, 2026 at ESTR, and rents for a simple 1 or 2 bedroom often fall in the $100 to $450 range. For many remote workers, that balance, mountain access without mountain town prices, makes Helena feel both practical and restorative. Outdoor lovers quickly find their rhythm here. Miles of trails begin right from town, winding up through pine forests and ridgelines that give way to enormous skies. Even on weekdays, you'll see people taking short hikes on their lunch break, as if the landscape insists on being part of the routine. The growth is slower, the streets quieter, and there's an easy friendliness that reflects Montana's reputation for plain-spoken warmth. The trade-offs are real, but familiar to anyone considering the Mountain West. Nightlife is limited, and winters stretch long, stark, beautiful, and sometimes demanding. But many residents will tell you that the quiet season deepens the sense of home, rather than shrinking it. Picture a golden sunrise spilling over pine-topped ridges, while the whole valley remains still. In Helena, that kind of moment doesn't require a special trip. It simply happens, and life settles gently around it. At number 7, we arrive in Petoskey, where Lake Michigan's soft blue horizon turns everyday errands into scenic moments. This is a northern lakeside gem, shaped by water, light, and a kind of coastal calm that feels almost unexpected in the Midwest. Life here moves with the rhythm of the shoreline, gentle, steady, and unmistakably peaceful. Petoskey offers a thoughtful balance of affordability and scenic value, especially for a place with postcard views in almost every direction. Median home prices generally sit in the mid to upper 400s, Zillow, 2026 STR, while 1 and 2 bedroom rentals often fall in the $2,100 to $2,500 range. It's not the cheapest town on this list, but for many retirees and remote workers, the beauty per dollar ratio feels unusually generous. And with strong local health care, the town offers practical confidence beneath its idyllic surface. This is a community known for friendliness, creativity, and a sense of stability that comes from long-standing local traditions. Artists find inspiration in the shifting colors of the lake, while retirees settle into routines built around waterfront walks, morning markets, and quiet afternoons that seem to stretch just a little longer. The harbor, the trails, the historic downtown, each piece adds to the town's layered, gentle charm. There are trade-offs, as with any lakeside town. Tourism brings a seasonal buzz, a short-lived liveliness that fades as quickly as it arrives, and winters settle in with a cold that asks for patience and warm layers. But then there's the moment that keeps people here. Imagine the lake shimmering silver as sailboats glide silently across the horizon. In Petoskey, that kind of scene isn't an escape. It's simply part of a Tuesday. At number 6, we arrive in Staunton, where Blue Ridge quiet meets historic theater doors. This is a town that feels lovingly preserved, a place where the Shenandoah Valley folds around streets lined with old brick, and where the arts don't simply exist, but seem to breathe through the architecture itself. Staunton carries the charm of a small city with the gentleness of a rural hillside community. Its housing market remains approachable, especially by East Coast standards. Median home prices tend to sit around the low to mid 300s, Zillow, 2026 Almatitors, while rents for 1 or 2 bedroom homes often fall in the $1,000 to $2,300 range. For retirees and remote workers, that mix, manageable costs with real cultural depth, creates a sense of balance that's increasingly rare. A compact downtown, reliable healthcare access, and a cost of living comfortably below many coastal cities all add to its appeal. What sets Staunton apart is its personality. The historic architecture has a warmth to it. Tall windows, curved corners, buildings that hold their stories quietly. The theater and arts scene stays vibrant throughout the year, giving the town a gentle pulse without tipping into busyness. And the four-season climate is steady and temperate, offering crisp autumns, light-filled springs, and winters that rarely overwhelm. The trade-offs are modest, but worth noting. Large-scale employment opportunities are limited, and the pace of life is decidedly slow. For some, that's a gift. For others, it may feel a touch too quiet. But then comes that unmistakable Staunton moment. Picture narrow brick streets glowing under lamplight after a soft Shenandoah rain. The air cool, the hills darkening, and the town settling into its evening. Here, quiet isn't an absence, it's the atmosphere itself. At number 5, we arrive in Spearfish, where Black Hills cliffs rise like quiet guardians over a remarkably friendly town. There's a ruggedness to the landscape here, the kind that reminds you how old the earth is. Yet the community itself feels warm, steady, and genuinely welcoming. Spearfish offers something rare in the mountain regions, beauty without the soaring price tag. While the rest of the Black Hills draw heavy tourism, this small western city keeps a more grounded rhythm. Median home prices typically sit in the mid to upper 300s, Zillow 2026 est, and rents for a 1 or 2 bedroom home often fall in the $1,000 to $1,300 range. For retirees and remote workers, that affordability, paired with miles of trails and canyon drives, creates a lifestyle that feels both scenic and sustainable. Healthcare access is solid for a town its size, with dependable regional services that provide peace of mind. Locals talk often about the outdoor routines woven into daily life. Morning walks beneath limestone cliffs, weekend drives through Spearfish Canyon, long summer evenings spent by the water. And beneath it all is a social scene that's surprisingly warm. Not loud or crowded, just easy gatherings, friendly nods, and a sense that people look out for one another. Of course, there are trade-offs. Amenities are fewer than in larger cities, and winters can be unpredictable. Some arrive gently, others with a sharper edge. But most residents see this as part of the region's character, not a deterrent. Imagine a sunset that paints the canyon walls amber as a breeze rolls through open fields. In Spearfish, that moment doesn't mark the end of anything. It's simply how the day chooses to close. At number 4, we arrive in Corvallis, where the Willamette Valley turns daily life into a slow, green rhythm. This is a place shaped by river air, soft hills, and a gentle university heartbeat. Lively enough to feel engaged, yet calm enough that mornings still belong to the sound of rain on rooftops and the quiet roll of bicycle tires. Corvallis blends affordability and livability in a way that's becoming harder to find in the Pacific Northwest. Median home prices generally sit in the mid to upper 500s, Zillow 2026 est, and typical rents for 1 or 2 bedroom homes often fall around $300 to $1,700. For many retirees and remote workers, the draw isn't just the numbers, it's the reliability of the lifestyle. Healthcare is excellent, parks thread through every corner of the city, and the bike paths create a gentle alternative to traffic-heavy living. There's a peacefulness to Corvallis that feels intentional. The commitment to sustainability is part of daily life, not a slogan. Gardens spill over fences, market days draw neighbors into warm conversations, and the social atmosphere stays calm, even with a university in town. More thoughtful energy than loudness, more community than crowd. The trade-offs are modest but real. Winters tend to be rainy, not dramatic, but persistent, shaping the landscape into something soft and green. Housing supply can tighten at times, especially close to campus, which can make the search a little slower. Yet even with those realities, Corvallis carries a quiet pull. Picture mist rising from valley farms as cyclists glide along quiet morning roads. That's the rhythm here, unhurried, thoughtful, and gently connected to the land. At number 3, we arrive in St. George, where red rock cliffs rise around a town that feels both sunlit and serene. This is one of the West's true desert oases. warm, spacious, and shaped by landscapes that look almost sculpted by hand. Life here settles into a peaceful suburban rhythm, softened by sandstone and steady light. St. George has become a gentle magnet for retirees and remote workers, especially those seeking a mix of warmth, outdoor access, and manageable living costs. Median home prices typically sit in the mid to upper 500s, Zillow, 2026 est, while rents for 1- and 2-bedroom units often fall between the $300 and $700. It's not the most affordable town on this list, but the value is in the lifestyle. The ability to step outside and be greeted by open sky, clean streets, and views that often stop people mid-sentence. Healthcare access is a major strength here, anchored by well-respected medical facilities that offer comfort to retirees and families alike. Outdoor living is a year-round reality. Early morning walks on desert trails, quiet rounds of golf in winter, and evenings that settle into a warm, amber glow. Neighborhoods tend to feel clean, welcoming, and safe, shaped by a community that values calm and courtesy. Still, there are trade-offs. Summers are undeniably hot, the kind of heat that gently requests slower afternoons. And the rapid growth means housing supply can tighten, creating a more competitive market at times. But the essence of St. George is found in its stillness. Imagine standing beneath red sandstone cliffs as the evening light cools the desert air. In that moment, the whole town seems to exhale, and you understand why so many people choose to stay. At number 2, we arrive in Coeur d'Alene, where a deep blue lake anchors a town that feels both adventurous and restful. This is a place held gently by mountains, where the morning light drifts across the water as if it has all the time in the world. For many, Coeur d'Alene looks like a postcard, but it lives like a community that knows how to breathe. Its natural beauty has drawn steady attention over the years, yet locals still guard the calmer corners. The quiet neighborhoods tucked among tall pines, the small cafes where conversations linger, the trails where you can walk for an hour and hear little more than wind and water. Median home prices tend to sit in the mid to upper 500s, Zillow, 2026 est, and rents for a 1- or 2-bedroom home often land between $300 and $700. It isn't the lowest-priced mountain town, but the scenery, safety, and access to the outdoors create a value that goes beyond numbers. Coeur d'Alene suits retirees who love steady routines, families seeking a safe and welcoming environment, and outdoor enthusiasts drawn to trails, lakeshore walks, and mountain air that seems cleaner than what most people are used to. The local shops feel personal, the cafes warm, and the streets carry a friendliness that's easy to settle into. Of course, the town has its trade-offs. Housing demand has pushed prices upward, particularly in the most scenic areas. And tourist seasons bring bursts of activity, nothing chaotic, but a noticeable shift in the pace. But then comes the moment that defines this place. Picture early morning mist lifting from the lake as fishermen push off into glass-still water. The world moves slowly, the air feels cool and bright, and Coeur d'Alene reveals its true rhythm, peaceful, steady, and quietly unforgettable. At number 1, we arrive in Ames, where quiet Midwestern streets carry a gentle, almost handcrafted rhythm of daily life. This is a town shaped by steadiness, not the kind that stands still, but the kind that gives people room to build lives that feel balanced and dependable. You sense it in the way neighbors wave from driveways, in the soft glow of early morning windows, and in the calm that settles over the city when the day begins. Ames offers a rare mix: stable housing, vibrant local culture, good healthcare, and a cost of living that never drifts far from its grounded roots. Median home prices generally sit in the low to mid 300s, Zillow, 2026 Ebertauter, while typical rents often fall between $1,000 and $1,300. For retirees, families, and remote workers, that combination, affordability with reliability, is part of what makes Ames feel quietly exceptional. The community itself is warm and educated, shaped in part by the university, but lived in a way that never overwhelms. Walkable neighborhoods make daily routines simple, and public amenities, parks, libraries, trails, are well cared for without fanfare. Healthcare access is strong, offering comfort to those who value stability most. And overall, the cost of living stays refreshingly manageable, especially compared to many growing metros. The trade-offs are familiar to Midwestern life. Winters require patience and a willingness to adapt, and the job market leans heavily toward education and healthcare. Steady fields, but not broad in every direction. Still, the essence of Ames is found in its everyday moments. Picture a cold morning where sunlight warms rows of tidy homes as neighbors shovel snow with unhurried friendliness. In that quiet exchange, simple, warm, unforced, you feel exactly why Ames deserves the top spot. Sometimes the most meaningful places aren't the ones making headlines. They're the towns where life still feels human-sized, where a morning walk can settle the mind and affordability opens doors instead of narrowing them. These small cities don't chase attention, yet they quietly prove that peace, beauty, and community haven't disappeared. They've simply gathered in the gentler corners of the map, waiting for the right person to notice. Our number one town, Ames, represents something larger than itself. It carries the spirit that threads through this entire list, a place that isn't flashy or loud and never feels the need to compete for attention. Instead, Ames offers a steadiness that feels almost nostalgic, the kind of reliability many people thought had quietly disappeared. In a time when housing markets rise and fall like tides, and when so many Americans feel pushed, priced out, or simply worn down, Ames stands as a reminder that stability still has a home, not in booming hubs or glittering coastlines, but in modest cities that choose consistency over spectacle. Walk through Ames on an ordinary weekday, and you'll see a series of small, grounded scenes. Students biking to class with unhurried purpose, retirees sharing a warm conversation outside a bakery, families walking dogs along tidy neighborhood streets that feel cared for rather than curated. There's no rush in the air, no tension beneath the surface. Life here unfolds at a pace that respects the people living it. Affordability is a gift, yes, but it's only part of the story. Healthcare access is strong. Public spaces are genuinely used and appreciated. Neighborhoods feel safe in a way that encourages deeper roots. And residents often describe an emotional safety that's harder to measure. The quiet confidence that the town supports the life you want to live, instead of draining the energy it takes to maintain it. This isn't only about cost. It's about the shape of a day, the comfort of belonging, the ease of choosing calm over strain. Ames is the kind of city locals quietly protect because once you feel its rhythm, the gentle mornings, the unobtrusive kindness, the steady sense of community, you realize how rare that balance truly is. And maybe that's the message woven through all 10 towns. The best places aren't always hidden. Sometimes they're simply overlooked. We've just traveled through 10 small American cities that locals adore, not because they're trendy or booming, but because they offer a way of living that feels grounded, manageable, and unmistakably human. These are places where affordability meets atmosphere, where neighbors still recognize each other on morning walks, and where the pace of life feels shaped for the person living it rather than the forces rushing around it. Each town carries its own blend of gifts and trade-offs, a reminder that peace has many forms. For some, it's a lakeshore that steadies the mind. For others, it's mountain quiet, Midwestern steadiness, or a simple street that feels like home the moment you step into it. So, which place spoke to you, and why? Was it the water, the hills, the calm, or something you didn't expect at all? If you enjoyed this journey, subscribing helps this channel continue exploring peaceful, real-world stories of American living. For real-world escapes, not fantasies.